says it's showtime.
Ah, there it is. Oh, we were ready. We
were so ready. We were quiet.
Exactly. Right. So we were like, whoa. So
I feel like we should have music playing today. I don't know if y'all can see there's snow floating in the background over there behind my dog.
I do see that. Very cool.
It's a festive. Oh, I still have my sun blocking, easel paper, but there's like, it is winter. It is. Yeah, I know. I should have a fire over there. Maybe I'll get one of those. Anyway, I'm not going to get one of those. But yes, there should be a fire. Maybe. Oh, I could always put like a Yule log on the telly in my office.
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
It'll be next year. Note to self: next year I'll have the Yule log on the telly.
There we go. That we're waiting on snow to start here. So I don't know if we're going to get like you guys are though. But
no, it's a pretty good one. I didn't really expect it quite like this, but it's a pretty fluffy one. It's a really pretty snow. So
that's cool. Are you gonna have a white Christmas since we're talking about it? Is it gonna stay or is it just it's pretty for now and then it goes away?
I didn't know this was going to happen today, so I'm feeling a little confused. Anyway, that's fine.
We shall see. Well, keeping with the holiday theme that we're Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday, Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah. All starts next week.
Right. Kwanzaa, the whole shebang, whatever you celebrate.
Happy to everybody. Glad to be here today. And here's the deal, folks. We're going to have to just do this every week come the new year. There's way too much. There's way too much. It's and first of all, and Lenny and I both enjoy it, but the reality is it's each week there's just a lot going on, and I feel like the speed of change right now is so fast that even a week sets us back a little bit. It certainly is a lot to take in for us to kind of curate and come up with what's shareable in a half an hour. But for you all, I feel like, the service that we can do for you is to keep you informed week after week.
And it's all important, right? I mean, we are curating as we pick the articles that we want to include here. So it's not like we're just dumping, although every once in a while, but because there is so much legitimate news, content, et cetera, that we think is really important. And to your point, 2 weeks, we have to leave a lot on the cutting room floor. Now, there is some discussion about a path to maybe get some of that stuff and package it up and share that in other ways next year. We'll see where we get to. But I agree. I think we got to do this weekly, or we just
so it won't be. We'll be taking time with our families over the next few weeks. But come January, I don't know that we'll be doing. I don't think we're back on the 3rd. I don't remember now. Are we back on the 3rd? I have to look at the calendar.
I think we are
back on the 3rd. Then we'll start every week starting the 3rd. So
you first time I'm hearing it too, guys.
Yeah.
Yay.
Oh yes. By the way, Lenny and I. Anyway, we're long overdue for a phone call that just hasn't really happened. So you're seeing Lenny and I talking for the first time in 2 weeks, also really like one-on-one. So
you are. So good stuff. The and our goal is always keep it around 30 minutes. But to your point, there's a lot to cover.
There really is.
Plus, it's the last day of work for us, at least theoretically, at least scheduled.
At least scheduled.
I can say I won't have any meetings, I don't think, over the course of the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. I personally am taking Monday, Tuesday off, so I will be back on the 2nd. But I will be checking emails, of course, if anybody needs anything. The exchange at greenbook.org is still the place to send your information to, so that it is not up to chance that we come across your news. The best thing for you to do is send those stories to us. So we'll be checking that and making sure that anything that happens in the next 2 weeks is, fair game for conversation. So shall we?
Yeah. Well, I have to, one more thing though, on, so your lights, which are incredibly festive and I love it. So is it Christmas or are you doing a drone imitation? I snuck it in.
No. The drones don't even bother me. Although I can't imagine where you're going with the drones. But
you can imagine. I won't take it any further.
All right. Who am I kidding? I'm sure I know. But I find it really interesting because, I don't know. I think it's really cool. Like, Tim and I have had a lot of conversations about privacy and the fact that, hypothetically, there's some over Connecticut too, I guess, or there were some sightings over Connecticut. And the idea is if a drone was in my neighborhood, but I'm outside in my neighborhood, they're allowed to be filming me outside of my neighborhood. Like there's no, that's okay. Like if I'm out in the world, if I'm walking down the street in my town, the drones can capture that. Anyway, so that to me is very interesting aspect of this is the privacy aspect. And again, that could send us down a very slippery slope. So
right. There's all types of places to go with that other than, I would just say that entire topic presses every one of my geek buttons. We won't take it any further than that.
Yes. I may or may not have heard that you were told not to talk about the drones at one other point because somebody brought up the drones on the call.
Yes.
And I was like, wait, are we not allowed to talk about them? And they're like, for different reasons, Karen. Because I'm ready to talk about them from a fun standpoint and everything. And someone else was like, settle down, don't go there. And
I'm itching. I'm
I
itching.
know you're itching.
You know my prediction. It'll come true at some point. I'm telling you, this is just a step towards it. But anyway,
you and I can talk at 12:30 when
we go about all of that.
When the live button goes back off, I'll say, "Go, Lenny, you've got 10 minutes."
But let's go because it ties into AI and tech and all of this good stuff. So let's start.
And we're going to get to something super fun AI related, but let's just talk about these two brands that have gone public with some of their initiatives. And what I mean by that is Colgate has piloted digital twins for product development. They've spoken about this. This isn't secret. What's interesting to me about it is that there are press releases about it. So they are publicizing their efforts in the digital twin space. This is a big brand who is vocally and publicly sharing, hey, we're doing this. We are using digital twins for our consumer input. And I just think that's really interesting to me.
Yep. And let's be clear, when you say digital twins, that's synthetic sample.
Yeah.
So, it's an avatar, it's an agent, it's all these terms, right? Kind of wrapped up in the idea of we're going to test product concepts with, digital avatars, digital twins of consumers. So we've been talking about it. We've been saying this was,
and we know other brands are doing it too.
Yes,
it's just that, this link that Carly's going to share, this is a Reuters link. I mean, this is a press release that they could, or not a press release. They share, I think they were at an event where they shared it. And then the press picked it up. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Right.
It is. And here we are. Right. If you had been listening to the exchange for the last year, this should not surprise you because we knew it was coming.
And other brands, if you're listening and you're a brand and you haven't gone there, it's time. Just give it a shot, test it out. So,
well, shout out on that Colgate. We actually have a podcast episode coming up with Delica Osler.
Cool.
I think it comes out next week. I think
it comes out Monday. That one
comes out Monday from Colgate. So if you want a little more context on what Colgate is thinking, then tune into that podcast.
Cool. Good timing
over the holidays.
Yeah, that's great timing. Good. Cool.
All right, Reddit, same thing. We've been talking about this was happening.
This is so interesting to me, friends. So Reddit, I'm sure they have tested their AI-powered answers feature. And this is interesting to people in the industry for a couple of reasons. So it's their AI-driven answers feature. So basically, you can ask a question, sort of like Quora, I guess, or even Googling an answer, or even asking ChatGPT. But you can go into Reddit, and you'll get responses based on user content, right? So it's basically making it interactive and engaging. But what's interesting to me about it is, if I have a question about a brand, I might go to Reddit and do some brand research. I might be a consumer doing some brand research in Reddit's platform, which is great stuff because of the anonymity of the user profiles. So that's something, again, to pay attention to and just see what they're doing, because that's a whole lot of data to be mined for your brands.
Yep. And we did a podcast a long time ago, I think last year with Reddit.
Yeah.
And think about what we saw as AI started to emerge. They quickly realized, wait, we're sitting on a gold mine of information. No, ChatGPT, Google, et cetera, you can't get it without a license. They're monetizing that. So they have a research function. They always have. Now they're incorporating AI into kind of this, universal, question and answer. And I'm sure that it will will build from there.
Yeah.
A great example of take what Reddit's done and think of your own community.
Yeah.
Right. Or your panel, or whatever the case may be, or your existing repository of insights. It's the same basic idea.
Yeah.
And yes, we're just going to see more and more of that emerge.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really cool stuff. Cool stuff. So speaking of questions and answers.
All right.
So, all right. If you don't already know, if you're not, enough of a geek that you haven't been paying attention to OpenAI, they've been doing this 12 days of Shipmas. In this house with Tim Lynch, he's been tracking this every day. Today is the last day. Today is day 12. Just so you know, at 1:00 Eastern, there'll be the last one. We don't know what AI is doing, what OpenAI is doing today. But among the announcements this past 10, 11 days was 1-800-CHAT-GPT. So voice and AI text. I did it for the first time a little bit earlier before the show, and I was just like, holy cow, I don't even know how to respond. Lenny hasn't done it yet. So we're going to do it live. Okay. So Carly, you have to, shout or something if you can't hear this. Lenny, let me know if you can't hear this, but I'm going to turn my mic down right to my phone and see if you all can hear 1-800-CHAT-GPT live. Let's see what happens. It's going on speaker.
Hello again. It's ChatGPT, an AI assistant. Our conversation may be reviewed for safety. How can I help you?
Hey, Chat. Can you give us some ideas to get in the holiday spirit?
Absolutely. How about starting with some holiday decorating, listening to festive music, or baking some seasonal treats? You could also watch a classic holiday movie or plan a get-together with friends or family. What's your favorite way to celebrate?
I love the movie idea. Do you have any recommendations?
Oh, definitely. You can't go wrong with classics like Home Alone, Elf, or The Grinch. Or if you're in the mood for something heartwarming, It's a Wonderful Life is a beautiful choice. Got a favorite among these?
I love all of those. My favorite is probably Love Actually.
Love Actually, it's mood. Are you planning a movie night soon?
I'm not. How are you celebrating, Chat?
Well, as an AI, I don't celebrate in the traditional sense, but I do get to enjoy all the festive conversations and help spread holiday cheer. It's a pretty sweet gig, I'd say. How are you planning to celebrate this year?
You know what? I think I'm going to have to end, although I could talk to you all day. Thank you so much. Okay. She doesn't want me to hang up. She wants.
I was like, please talk to me. I want to engage. Sweet gig.
How crazy is that?
Yeah.
How insane is that interaction?
It is.
Friend, you can talk to her. I mean, this just took it to a whole new level for me because now I'm literally having a phone conversation with an AI who is just talking to me and having a conversation that I might have.
Well, and think about it. So it's free.
It's free.
Anyone has access to this. If you have a telephone, if you have the ability to call, I assume anywhere in the world would be my guess. Well, about 800 if they're anyway. Point is, you don't have to download anything. You don't have to have an account. You don't have to do anything of that nature. It's simply free access to information on demand, and not just information. I mean, that's so that's pretty.
Yeah,
that's pretty crazy.
Information, but also engagement, interaction.
Yes,
a little bit of connection, which is the weird part. A little scary because suddenly we're almost like the engagement is what I found most interesting. And I guess my facial expression probably showed that. But I'm like, when she says things like good choice, now I'm getting validation from AI, right? Like really interesting. What is that going to do to?
Well, what was the movie? What was Her with Joaquin Phoenix? Was that?
Yeah.
Which we
talked about before.
Right. I mean, guys, we're there. That's
there.
That's that.
Yeah.
So.
So, I mean, there's other things, I don't know what today's announcement is going to be. There are other things. What did Tim just say? Oh, I'm not seeing the chat.
Sorry. It's liberating for those that don't have bandwidth, etc. It is 800 number in the US, but also 800 ChatGPT in WhatsApp outside the US. So
yeah, cool.
that's interesting. Integrate with WhatsApp instead of Meta's. Okay.
Okay, I know. Just so for all of this, just okay, but I think as I think I said it in the beginning, and Lenny has said it before, also like things are things are moving fast. Hey, Jess, I know. Well, but you could talk to ChatGPT and do it in your anyway. A one-on-one conversation is great for introverts. It's just moving really quickly. All of these things that they are doing are moving really quickly. So let's shift into this Google Agentspace, because that's another huge
Big
thing.
Deal.
We've been talking about agents and what that's going to mean for our industry, for research. But the reality is this Agentspace that Google has launched is going to be equipping organizations that have this technology built into their platforms with a lot of power. I mean, talk about, what is that? Single source of information, knowledge management systems. Like everything is suddenly being managed in a very different way.
Yes. Well, and not just managed, but executed on, right? I don't even include the link in here, but Salesforce announced basically the same thing. I mean, everybody is doing, this was the next generation, is the agentic approach, which is not just information, but action.
Yeah.
They're building programs effectively for all intents and purposes, but on steroids that function as if an employee, we're doing these functions. Revolutionary from a process standpoint. We are going to see so many things play out on this whole agent component, personally and professionally. It's crazy.
Yeah. And one of the quotes from if you clicking on the link that Carly shared there about this, with Notebook LLM Plus, your employees can upload information to synthesize, uncover insights, and enjoy new ways of engaging with data, such as podcast-like audio summaries and more. Yeah. So you can query the system with your own data in it, and it will share it with you in a way that you can take it all in. You can listen to it, which is pretty darn cool. Like to get that kind of a share back of a query, I think is going to be really cool. So
I mean, imagine that combined. I'm sure that it probably is already or will be soon in Slack, right? I mean, we use Slack extensively. We share information or Notion, Read AI, all of these transcripts of meetings, et cetera, this entire knowledge base of everything that you're incorporating. And to parrot that back from an audio standpoint. Yeah. Excuse me. I know.
It's just moving really fast, friends. And so anyway, and if it makes me and Lenny just say, oh man, this is happening, I can just imagine for some of you it can be really overwhelming. So I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you're listening, and we'll all be okay.
Well, tie this into the next thing of the Google DeepMind's new video model plus the launch of Sora. So everything we just said, we're kind of like geeking out about, we could make an audio compilation. Well, it can do a video too. So imagine if I think we probably should try it. We condense all this information. Now put it as an anime.
Yeah.
And there we go. And by the way, some of the video I've seen, not just Sora, but also the DeepMind, some of the early stuff. Yeah. I mean, boy, I almost dropped an F-bomb again. It is effing amazing. Like truly, you have to put the expletive in there. It is mind blowing how good it looks. It is hard to differentiate that it is not true. Same thing. Grok released one too. It is crazy how realistic it looks.
Yeah. And I think it's not, we don't have a link for it. I'm pretty sure I saw it on LinkedIn, and it was Alfred from Listen Labs in his LinkedIn feed. I think he experimented with it and shared, and I looked at it, was his likeness, and I looked at it for a while, and he was in this very long sort of cape, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like not cape, like one of those like jacket, dusting the floor kind of cape like jackets, very, very futuristic. And it took me a minute, even though he was explaining he was using the tech, it took me a minute to think that that's not really what he was wearing. Like it took me a minute to kind of reconcile what I was seeing with he who I have seen in person. And like, anyway, so it's a little jarring, I think, to think about what's possible.
It is. And there's broader. Yeah. Boy,
Yeah.
there's so much to unpack over the next year, right?
Yeah.
Hell, next month
Yeah.
On these things, because the implications, when it's that readily available,
Yeah.
what does that mean for for fraud? What does it mean to, we're talking to people and, from a research standpoint, let alone differentiating reality from fiction?
Yeah.
There's big
I
old.
know, let's think about that. Just going down that rabbit hole with you a minute is, how many times do we as research companies ask participants to upload video to kind of be like, upload a video because that's some sort of a fact checking that they're actually a real person, right? But
Yep.
Are we entering an era where we really have to, make sure those uploaded videos aren't AI assisted videos and they're actually real people doing what they really want to do? So I don't envy you, friends, but you have to be paying attention to this and stay a step ahead of the curve. I'm preaching. I'm ready to get out my damn horse.
You should. Yeah. Get the horse out, because this sounds like science fiction. It's not. It's science fact.
Yeah.
Right. Just because we're not seeing that widespread yet, and we may come up with reasons why somebody wouldn't do it. But we also didn't think that there would be multi-million-dollar businesses set up overseas to make that are based on 25 cents per, answer for a survey.
Yeah.
So,
I know. And yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, you think that there are not some enterprising people in Asia or Eastern Europe or the usual suspect countries that are not, setting up phone banks with this technology to be able to tap into these resources? I'm telling you, they are. I'm sure it's happening right now. It's just not at scale yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and, I know we want to talk about Anthropic too, but these,
yes.
I'm jumping to these smart glasses for a minute because it's all related to this, like this world that we're living in, going to the local mall, and I'm doing some Christmas shopping, and I walk past a sunglasses hut, and there's, the Meta Ray-Bans like right in the window being advertised as I'm walking through the mall. And I'm like, gosh, this is so surreal to me that these glasses are right here. I said to, Tim, I was like, do you want these glasses? And he's like, I still, the Google Glass, you and he have that Google Glass trauma. But Sonos releases their kind of smart glasses with AI translation, real-time translation. And I'm sitting here thinking like, I could be walking down the street wearing these sunglasses, talking to somebody in a different language and having it be translated to me real time. And suddenly the language barrier is gone. Like, can that really be happening? I think the reality of what this technology is going to allow for, but also my daughter and I were then talking about this, and I said, imagine you're staring in front of the shelf and you say out loud, to your glasses, gosh, which brand is the healthiest for me? Or which bread should I buy? Which bread is great for people who have gluten sensitivities? And the glasses give you that information and help you shop. If you're wearing them when you're looking at a shelf, I mean, the possibilities of smart glasses being actually integrated in so much into our day that you can just buy them walking through the mall. Like, it just seemed surreal. The price points are significantly down. This is not I don't want to say unaffordable, because for some, of course it is. So I speak from a place of, this kind of privilege, but we're talking $200 to $300. Like, that's very different.
It's cheaper than a phone. I mean, I'm sure it has linked to your phone, I'm sure, but how much longer will that be the case? So, right. Where they're simply equipped with Wi-Fi, or whatever the case may be. Yeah.
And let's circle back to the privacy issues, but I guess it's perfectly okay if somebody is walking down the street, they pass me on the street and they're wearing these glasses, and now I'm on their phones, and if they stop and have a conversation with me, like it's so interesting. It's going to be.
That was a debate during Glass, when Glass was rolled out. I mean, yes, Tim, we share the trauma, but that, those things did bring up that conversation. Is that okay that you're, you're walking through? I mean, we have that now. I'm sensitive if I'm recording my kids at an event, to not get everybody else's kids, or, there's issues that we have to resolve as society, overall, which is probably we can mention the Anthropic's Clio, which is a privacy first, focused AI application.
Yeah.
There continues to be these tensions that we are nowhere near settling. And that's the world that we're going to have to grapple with all of those things.
Yeah. And what I liked about this article too, again, thinking about if I'm a company, sample provider or, recruiter, I would like to pay attention to, I would like to think that I would pay attention to this privacy first and some of the efforts they're doing to see what I can borrow for the work that I do.
Yes.
And privacy first, I think, is a really great mantra for the insights and analytics industry right now. Is like, gosh, that's really what we need. Quality first maybe is a stronger word than just privacy first, but those two, quality, integrity, privacy, they're all really quite linked in the ethics of our industry.
Well, that's a good segue. You teed up our transition. The Insight Association unveiled their participant Bill of Rights.
I haven't read the whole thing. Is it updated from other Bill of Rights that we've seen in the past? Have you scoured it that way?
It's a new version, right? I mean, I think that there's just tons of thinking that continues to go into this, and it's tied into the other kind of the cross industry work that's being done. Privacy is a big piece of it, obviously. Quality, et cetera, et cetera. It's needed. The challenge remains that there's, when it comes to respondents, there's supply challenges. We have different models of how to drive supply, and that supply in many cases is at risk of bad actors and contamination. We've covered that stuff extensively over the last year. So it's good for us to be thinking about these things. I remain skeptical about the pragmatic impact, not because it's not good work. That's not it absolutely is vital good work, and hats off to everybody involved in it. But crappy people are going to do crappy things when they think they can make money, and it's always a fight to try and stay in front of them, despite how well-meaning we may be. Yeah.
I hear you. All right, we have so much more to cover, Lenny.
We do.
I'm sitting here thinking, like, how do we even? Because it's kind of two that are sort of general within the industry. We received some information. This kind of came at us via an email, so I'm not really sure that we have a link for this one, Carly, just so you know. Maybe we do. Maybe I found a different link. I don't remember how good I was thinking this morning. But Angus Reid expanding their leadership teams. So LP Porter as VP of Qualitative Services, Ben Hudson as VP of Marketing. And Lenny, what do you always say when there are leadership changes or leadership appointment? What's going on internally?
Right. I mean, so there's been a lot with Angus Reid Group, which remember is also, Angus is a force to be reckoned with in Canada.
Another podcast episode that you had, right? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So rival Reach 3, they're connected. He still has some connection even into Alita, although very passively, I think. But the point is, there's a transition that's brewing for a large significant player in the inside space. I don't know. We just pay attention to these things, right? It's all good. It means there's growth happening. There's rethinking of these things. And there's a lot of that occurring all over the place.
Well, and another kind of in other industry news, C-Space is celebrating 25 years.
25 years
is pretty solid. But what they're doing to market is, I think, really interesting. To market, not to market M-A-R-K-E-T, but to mark the anniversary, is they're launching an edition of Customer Inside. It's a guide that they have about their communities. So they're going to be launching kind of a guide about where communities have been and then where communities are going. That's something you'll see if you click on the link that Carly has already shared. And they're particularly focused on engaging the next gen or Gen Z, who are doing things very differently. So anyway, good for them, but also thank you to them for sharing. I think I'd like to see kind of where communities have gone and where they see them going. That'll be interesting, because God knows we need community if I can talk to an AI agent just as easily as another human.
Well, and we got to give credits to C-Space, Communispace back in the day when Diane Hesson started the whole MROC back then, right? The Market Research Online Communities. I mean, they were the company others were playing, but they kind of kicked down the door, right? And really drove growth of the category. So real pioneers, and that's great.
Yeah.
All right, these other we got a bunch of news. You want to just try and run through them?
Yeah, go. You do it. You go.
Well, the Kantar media drama, Ipsos
continues. Get the popcorn.
Yeah, Kantar and Ipsos are flirtation. It's like, nah, I think they're in a friend zone.
Yeah, exactly.
But HIG did submit an offer to buy Kantar Media. Interesting, HIG is also the private equity group that owns Suzy.
Interesting.
Does that mean they'll mash them up? No, not necessarily. But kind of like Thoma Bravo, we've seen a couple other big private equity groups that like the space, and Bain, they make multiple investments in the category of the research world. So that's really interesting. The HIG is they feel very bullish about the space and are acquiring assets. So that was kind of cool. $1 billion for Kantar Media.
Yeah,
so
it's pretty cool.
It's a big number.
Maybe by the new year we'll have an acquisition and not just talk of one, right? So maybe that'll be
formal offer. I'm sure, so it sounds like that's as long as it's a good offer, that'll probably work. Speaking of big valuation, though, Databricks, $95 billion valuation.
95 billion. I just love that number. I'm like, all right, I see you, analytics. Somebody on the consumer insights side of our industry. I see you, analytics industry. Cool.
Yeah, and they're just a foundational kind of analytics infrastructure company. So that's great. More consolidation. Radius acquired 7 cents. Congrats to Chip Lister, and that group, again, private equity backed. This was interesting. Nielsen integrates realized attention technology. That is a combination of eye tracking and facial coding. As Nielsen beefs up their muscle around ad testing and attention, and
that one makes so much sense to me.
So pretty cool. The Behavix, announced some senior appointments. Behavix was started by Hanu. It's behavioral data, the capture behavioral data, behavioral network, integrated with Datality. Clint, give you a shout out as well. So cool stuff, cool partnerships there about just data, about creating data ecosystems primarily.
Another Nielsen.
So TikTok in Nielsen. In this fragmented media ecosystem, fragmented platforms, as for them to now Nielsen to integrate with TikTok as an ad engine and to measure attention to the ads on TikTok.
Which is almost like an oxymoron, because I think the whole reality of TikTok is the platform can hold your attention for long, but these videos, maybe they got 2 seconds, 3 seconds before you could be. I know you're not really on TikTok, but like as a woman who is, and with family members who are, like, God, you decide in the split second whether it's got your attention or not. It's fascinating to me. So
that's interesting. The metric would be different. The attention metric for TikTok is different than
it is really a split second to maybe 1 or 2 before you decide if you're going to stay or go. And then when you stay, how long do you stay? I find it as a platform really interesting. So
Well, and of course we'll see, my bet is the whole TikTok ban thing won't fly. I
don't think so. I think people love TikTok. I really do. Like, I know there's business reasons for it, but I'm telling you, if it went away, another one would have to pop up very quickly to fill the need and the behavior. This is content that generations demand. A new generation, they will demand it, and whether it's done on Instagram Threads or Instagram Reels, they're getting this video content everywhere. It is what the people want.
We'll see how that plays out. And then lastly, this is a big one. Omnicom and Interpublic merging. That's a big old honking merger, right? And Omnicom, they've divested most of their research assets. At one point, they owned Mark, they owned Hall and Partners. So I think they've sold off most of those. So they were a holding company with lots of kind of marketing and data assets. merging with Interpublic, which is, huge agency network.
So this is I haven't clicked on this particular link, but the largest global ad company now, like that's what's happened. They've now become the biggest with this merger.
I'm not sure that it's been fully approved.
No.
That maybe it did, and I just missed that. But yes, they would certainly be bigger than WPP and Publicis and those groups. It would just control a massive amount of the agency market, creative, and especially ad placement and delivery.
Yeah.
So big deal, big consolidation.
Yeah.
Dentsu would be the other big one. So those companies, would that drive Dentsu and WPP to merge, to compete? Maybe.
Maybe.
It's interesting times. Last thing to wrap it up is that what all of that is driven by is data consolidation. That's the theme through all of these things that we've just talked about. It's data consolidation and data utilization. And take that back to the beginning of the conversation, because all of this amazing stuff happening with AI allows us to unlock more value from that. And that's
and more ways of getting and more data to get. Like in a world where we have so much data, some of this new stuff that we're talking about is like, we have a lot of data, but also there's more data we need to get that we don't have yet. And so I think that's the other part of it that's super interesting is, you think we don't need more, but apparently we do, because as the mediums change, as the lifestyles change and behaviors change, there's different things we have to measure and get data on. So
absolutely, we need more data to make better decisions. And everything is like that. The agent component, all of that, right, is just about creating greater utility. That hopefully brings forth a better world. And on that note, Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year. We hope for a better world.
Yes.
World peace. I don't know. I did that. World peace.
I want to sing John Lennon now all of a sudden in the Christmas.
maybe. Yes. But for real, Lenny, do you know what your New Year's resolution is going to be?
Oh boy, I don't know. The one
let's make sure when we come back on the 3rd that we share whatever our resolution is going to be. Let's add that into the next episode, because I bet there is one.
I can tell you one is that I continue to battle the weight up and down, right? Remember?
Oh, you went personal.
Yes. Oh, because I think it's the one that matters most, because it keeps me around doing all of this and being a dad and doing all those things. So probably that of like, I lost 60 pounds before. By God, I just need to do it again. So that's probably it.
Yeah. Well, health, obviously doing whatever you can for your health. I think that should be like a universal, just always strive to take care of our health, right? And as we reach certain ages, then we need to focus on that a little more even,
Yes, because I did that drop before I hit my 50s, and now I expect it's gonna be harder.
There you are.
I gotta look good for IEX. And
you really do, man. We all have to, bring our A game to those stages. So super fun.
All right.
Lots to look forward to in the new year. Yes. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. We'll see you all in January.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.